We manage another 20% for other parties. So we're 30% of that business.
Wow.
When we got involved in that business, we stepped into the situation where they had already started a consultation on the affordability and sustainability of a DB plan, not dissimilar to what is going on at OMERS today. We have spoken clearly to, as board members, that we're supportive of a DB plan. We're only one part of the puzzle. We don't carry all the votes, but we are in a consultation with the workers, with the employees, with the sponsors, with the unions, and management. And management is doing that right now. There's no decision has been made. There's a consultation process. Not dissimilar to what has been discussed is what's going on with the SC board right now. We are one board member, and we've expressed our opinion that we're supportive of a DB plan. And that's where we're at today.
And could I just get clarification? Has that statement been made publicly, Michael?
We make it at the board level. We don't make public statements in our private hold investments. We make our statements at the level of where the decisions are made, and we could make it with regulators otherwise, but we're not making public announcements in the press in the UK.
Okay, is that?
Okay, that does answer the question, but it doesn't answer the question about as policy. I don't know if this is for Michael or for you, George. As an admin corp, and you guys have investment policies that guide in particular your private equity holdings. Is there any policy that might guide decision makers for OMERS in terms of the practices, HR practices? I mean, even this principle that Michael is indicating that OMERS supports defined benefit coverage, is that practically put into play when decisions are made, not only what companies to invest in, but also how employees of those companies are actually managed and what kind of pension coverage is provided?
I'm happy to take it as a start, and others can go, because a lot of this does take place through infrastructure investing. The infrastructure investing, which I had responsibility for until March 31st, in the responsibility, and I've been there since '99 doing that for OMERS. Most of those involve where there's public sector, and there could be situations. But in all of the businesses that we do look at what the fair practices for our employees. And if we don't, and we have the history, and I've said this before in other meetings, when we were involved in certain transactions previously where there are labor practices where there's going to be outsourcing or no succession rights, we walked away from those transactions. So we're not doing situations that's on the back of the employees where we're going to take away things that they've rightfully earned over time. So we do take that as part of our consideration. And as being a member of the senior management team for a long time at OMERS and sitting at our investment decisions, that's one of the questions that comes up all the time. And where is it with respect to the workers? What is with respect to the labor practices, the pensions, the employee benefits? Are we looking to fire everybody and hire new people on contract? That's a discussion we have all the time, and that's not in my best interest to do that. I'm a member of the pension plan just as you guys are.
Kevin, from a board point of view, when matters, so that's an answer that is our approach and our policy. But when these matters come in front of the investment committee, and not all do, because the board approval kicks in at certain dollar limits, these are matters that we discuss quite openly as well. And we actually have walked away or caused management to walk away from investments where we did not think that the labor practices were appropriate. So can I? It's very hard to frame a practical answer to your question other than to say during my tenure at least, I can give you countless examples of where we have either walked or we alternatively have interfered, as Michael is indicating here, on behalf of DB plan advocacy.
Okay, no, I'm glad to hear that. I'm encouraged. I hope that you have policies that you can point to. I do think it's important that, we were actually contacted by trade union colleagues from the UK who basically let us know, do you realize that this significant pension fund that you have members of in OMERS is actually attempting to strip away the defined benefit pension plan of our members? So this is, very disturbing for not just CUPE, but I think a lot of the trade unions that represent OMERS members to learn about. I don't think we're learning about this directly from OMERS itself because there's confidentiality and not a lot of information. So we learn about these things from other sources, and I think we'd like to know what kinds of policies and practices OMERS governing bodies and decision makers are going to use around these kinds of policies and practices.
So I think you can tell your friends in in Great Britain that we in fact, they have it wrong, that we in fact are actually trying to help promote the defined benefit plan. That's consistent with the answer that Michael gave you, and that is consistent not only with our approach but also with our practice.
Okay, very good. We'll let them know. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, please.
Yes, my name's Ann Dubas, and I'm a retiree, so I thoroughly enjoy my indexing, and I'm quite disappointed that, and I can't keep the board separate. I'm from the generation where we had one OMERS, not two, and all those kinds of things. I don't like the idea of you tinkering with the indexing. I enjoy mine, not that it's much lately, but it's there, and it gives me a security. But you've talked about a lot of things this morning, and you finally, one of you, I'm sorry, men are men, you talked about a fiduciary responsibility. But there's also another responsibility. You're all trustees. You're there to, not the employees, of course. You're like me. You're going to eventually have a pension. And that's what I like. The thing is, as trustees, you're supposed to be responsible for the plan. So the young man, and all of these people seem to be young this morning. I'm one of the old white, but I happen to be female. I still am anyhow. Why aren't you speaking out? When the City of Toronto contracted the other half of the city and lost 600 people from OMERS plan, when employer, and you're looking at bringing in part-timers, the City of Toronto has had part-timers in their pension plans, the ones even prior to OMERS. Part-timers were there. Yes, I see it as part of your dialogue. The part-timers need to come in. But so do the full-time temporaries and the full-time contract people. That's the only way. If we're going to shore up the membership, we will increase our security. Look, 2008, prior to that, everybody thought, oh, you're too big to fail. Well, $95 billion or not, no one's too big to fail. We need to increase the membership of OMERS. It has to be strength on all of our numbers. The OMERS board, both of you, I guess you can't say, when you retire, you don't have to worry about grammar. It's nice. It's nice, especially if you're speaking. You have to look at protecting those jobs. So when the little hydros disappear, those people coming in as employees, the employer event has the liability. They should make the requirement of OMERS being there. And it's time you did get out and follow the HOOP plan, who have had defined benefit ambassador plan in functioning for more than 2 years, advocating that not just that we keep our plan, but everybody should have a defined benefit plan and have the same benefits and securities that OMERS does.
Paul, do you want to respond?
I agree. There's nothing you said there that we would find issue with, and that's exactly what we were trying to do with the review. As we said, the things that are on the table include expansion of membership, mandatory participation in those elements. We will be giving it due consideration and take it to the board. It will ultimately be the boards on behalf of the sponsors who will make the determinations. But I agree very much, and we are recognizing that was part of the issue with the study, is the potential dangers of declining membership, and taking the actions that we can within the confines of our mandates to expand that membership where possible.
You had an advocacy role in Great Britain. I don't see that advocacy role in ensuring defined benefit plans for employees here in Ontario.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, George. Good morning. My name is Chris Varco, and I represent the Ontario Professional Firefighters Association. And I'm rising today to thank the OMERS organization for a situation that occurred in my industry. an airport that that OMERS purchased in Burbank, California. When they became the major shareholder, it was found that the firefighters there had been on strike for some time, and OMERS, once they found that out, did intervene and advocated on behalf of the firefighters. And on behalf of Ontario's firefighters today, I'd like to thank OMERS for getting my brothers and sisters back to work in a fair and equitable manner, and they resolved the labor issue there on our behalf. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris. Are there any other questions from the room? And anything come in from the screen? Okay, so we have come to a conclusion. And as we conclude, let me say thank you very much to all of you for your participation. It's important that you at least try to understand that everyone that has spoken today has been heard, and your views are very important to all of us, and they will be considered as the various members of the boards and management move forward with their tasks. Thank you very much. We look forward to seeing you at 100 Adelaide Street West next year.